Welcome back, guys. I'm John with Simple Man's Barbecue. I'm sure a lot of you have been asking yourself lately, when is John going to cook a brisket? Well, my friends, today is that day.
A Simple Man's Barbecue.
We have a whole beef brisket, choice cut, Angus, 17.2 pounds. All right, here's our beautiful brisket. We have the flat down here, which is the thinner part, and then we have our top. Any extra pieces of fat just kind of hanging off the side, I take off, and I always cut off this part right here. It's almost like a gristle. All right, this top piece looks pretty good. Just take off little layers at a time. We don't want to cut too much fat off. We want to leave about 1/8 to 1/4 inch everywhere, minimum. All right, I think that looks pretty good. So now, you know, at Simple Man's Barbecue, we like to keep it simple, and that's what we're gonna do again today. We are only gonna use salt to season this guy with. Now, this is a lot of meat, so it can take a lot of seasoning. All right, looks perfect. We are ready to fire up the grill and throw this baby on. Our fire's been going for about 30-45 minutes. You can see we got some nice coals now. The smoker's warmed up. Time to throw this baby on. Now, it's pretty pliable right now, so when you set it on your smoker, form it the way you want it to cook. Also, always fat side up. I always do the thickest part of the brisket closest to the firebox. We're gonna try to maintain about 250, 230 degrees. Every 30 to 45 minutes, we'll have to throw another piece of wood in the firebox and tend the fire. We put the brisket on at about 5 a.m. Right now it's about 1/4 to 7 a.m. Every 30 to 45 minutes, I've been tending to the fire. Fire management is key for these long cooks. Today we are only using oak. As you can see, we've been maintaining about 225, 230 degrees. All right, 240 degrees. It spiked up to that, but I adjusted the diffuser plate. On this offset smoker, I cook with this top vent wide open for the whole cook, and I adjust my temperature only on the intake. Cook's going great. I've been able to get into a good rhythm of controlling the intake on the firebox and adding wood at the correct intervals. Sun's starting to come up. I'm cooking omelets with a side of potatoes today. As long as I'm sitting outside here. One thing to keep in mind when cooking something in an offset smoker, it's a lot different than an oven or the Big Green Egg. The heat rolls over the meat, and it's not a consistent, maintained temperature like you have in the oven or a ceramic grill. So, that being said, it takes a lot longer to cook something. You'll notice if you apply the same cooking methods and temperature with a piece of meat, it'll cook a lot faster. It'll cook a lot faster in an oven than it will in an offset smoker. What? This is the kind of smoke we want, nice and clear. It's been about 4 hours. Let's take a look. Alright, we're getting some nice color here. Once I get the desired look I want, that's when I'm going to wrap it. The brisket's been on for about 4.5 hours now, and I put in the thermometer and we are about 138 degrees internal temperature. Still going strong. Alright guys, we got about the perfect color, how I want on my brisket. We're about 150 degrees internal right now, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap it for the remainder of the cook. Want to make sure it's nice and tight to hold all those juices in. We don't want anything leaking out. I do at least 3 layers. Make sure this is nice and tight. We got our brisket back on, wrapped real tight in tin foil. We pulled it at about 150 degrees, and we're going to continue tending our fire and cooking the brisket until we get to about 200 degrees internal temperature. Well guys, we're about 9 hours into our cook. One thing to keep in mind, these big pieces of meat, these briskets, they do stall. I experienced my stall around 180 degrees internal temp, and it didn't move for about 1 hour and 45 minutes, and it started going up again. We are almost ready to pull it off. We are at 199 internal temp right now. As soon as it gets to 200, I'm gonna pull it off, wrap it in a towel, and put it in a cooler for a minimum of 2 hours. We need to let all those juices soak back into the meat. You notice the smoke right now is clear. That's what we want for the whole cook, a nice, clean, clear smoke.
barbecue!